Well, I've known General Gray for a long time. Not a close friend like some people, but in 1969, when I got commissioned from staff sergeant to lieutenant, I went back to Vietnam for my last trip, and I was in 3rd Force Recon Company with Alex Lee and Buck Kaufman, who were very, very close with General Gray. And they started telling me General Gray stories back then, and Al was a colonel then. Every time I think about something that I might want to do, or if I'm doing it, am I doing it right? I think of certain people. What would they do? One of the guys that jumps to mind is Al Gray. What would Al Gray do in this position? As most people know, he doesn't take prisoners. He tells people what he thinks. And that sets some people off. Some people just can't stand the truth. And he's very open about that. But he's also very caring the way he does it. I've never heard him talk down to somebody. He speaks very clearly, and again, very openly, but he doesn't talk down to people. And I think in today's society, that's quite unique. We've got a lot of people with this wokeness stuff that they get their feelings hurt. So everybody talks around things. Al Gray does not talk around things. He talks to things.
What do you think his legacy means to you as a Marine and to you as a citizen?
Well, he's brought the Marine Corps through some very tough times. We're in tough times now also, but back when he was a colonel and as he became a general officer, he could see that some of these things were fragmenting our Corps. And back then, some of us could see this thing coming at us kind of like a freight train. He calmed that down. When he became commandant, he looked through a lot of these things that other people couldn't see. He could look through them and see where we needed to go. He brought up ideas that he would war game with people, and not just senior people, but again, down into the ranks. And that's another thing that throughout my comments about Al Gray. He's cordial with a lot of generals like him, and tomorrow night there's going to be a whole lot of generals there. But Al Gray loves his Marines and corpsmen. He would pass up a get together with a bunch of generals to go with the troops and go have a picnic. And I've seen him do that. So, I mean, his legacy will be that he brought the Marine Corps back together. He put us on point, and we moved forward from there for a long time. And of course, now our nation's in a different situation, and we're dealing with that the best we can. But Al Gray has always been there for his Marines.
Jacksonville and Onslow County, how is that as a home to the Marines?
Well, of course, I'm in the Beirut Memorial Committee and a bunch of other things, and I think that there is no other place like Jacksonville and Onslow County when it comes to how they treat the military. I mean, I've been stationed around the world, overseas, and in the Chamber of Commerce, we do our best in the Military Affairs Committee to make sure Marines feel home. You can't do it all the time, and of course there's that gap between us and some 19-year-old hardbody out there who wants to go out and have fun. Not that I've ever done that, of course, and of course I've never crawled out of some of the good bars in Jacksonville and the old front down there. But Jacksonville is a home to a lot of Marines, and that's why so many of us retire and stay here. I mean, I had a beautiful home up in Aquia Harbor, Virginia. We got down here, back around my friends and stuff, and we just decided to stay here.
If you're talking to somebody else about General Gray, how do you talk about him? What do you say?
Well, I talk probably in almost a tone of reverence. He'll probably smack me upside the head for saying that. You know, that's a General Gray thing. When you see him coming, you act like you don't know he's coming. He comes up behind you and he smacks you, you know, and then you act surprised. But I would tell people that don't know him, watch and listen, and you'll learn a lot. Just watching and listening to General Gray, it's like a history book. And those things that have come from the 60s forward, and that's what, face it, most of the people you're going to interview are 60s, 1960s and forward. There's a couple older salts, but most of them are going to be that. We've learned from people like General Gray. They came up in a different time. They look at things differently. And I think we need to get back to that. But I tell people, when you're around General Gray, be a good listener, because you're going to learn a lot.
So his leadership skills, have they inspired you? How are they?
Oh, yes.
And how-
His leadership skills are par excellence. Those two fellows I mentioned earlier, Alex Lee and Buck Kaufman, they were some of my early mentors, as are a couple people, other people along the line. As you go from one place to another, you pick up on somebody and they pick up on you, and you start, actually sometimes it's a mutual emulation. And with General Gray, you learn so much from him, and his mentorship is not the teacher student. He doesn't do that. It's like two Marines getting together, talking about something, and taking it from there. And he goes along with a lot of things, and he'll give it a chance, even to fail, whereas some people won't. Some people have the zero defect mentality. He broke that when he became the commandant. The people that were zero defect mentality were like cockroaches running when the lights come on. They scatter because Al Gray's not that kind of guy. He'll give people a chance to fail. Now, will he allow it to fail to the point of where the mission fails? Not a chance. But he gives people their head, and he tells them to go out and do good. Doesn't tell them how to peel a grape. And just do your job. As long as you're doing your job, good. You may get some rudder guidance from him from time to time, but I always find being around him is a high point of my day or week or whatever.
Do you have any personal story or anything else you'd like to add?
Not really. I mean, there's so many things. I remember one time we were he had just become commandant, and I was in Okinawa, and tell you how he deals with people. We were in the theater at Camp Hansen, and of course I was a lieutenant colonel at the time, and I was way in the back of the bus, and nobody, or in fact I may have even been a captain. I can't remember which tour, but I'm in the 5-16 rows back, maybe 20 rows back, and he's looking around before he gets ready to talk, and he sees me back there, and my name in Force Recon was Lobo. And we had these little cute names on the radio. You didn't have to go through what some, you said Lobo, and they knew who you were. He said, "Oh, and I see Lobo back there." And of course, all these colonels and generals turn around like, "Who the hell is Lobo?" And I'm sitting there like this, deer in the headlights. But that's how he remembers things. And I mean, the guy's got a memory it's unbelievable. He can bring up things that are 50 years back as if they're right now. I have a hard time remembering what I had for breakfast, but he has a unique memory, and it's just remarkable. And he brings up things from the past, and it makes you feel good because it warms your heart.